Morning, everyone. My name is Edward Chu. I am the director in Hong Kong for Economist Intelligence Corporate Network. We're delighted to have you join us today for the Spotlight interview with my interviewee, Cha Siti Sopon Panik, President of Bangkok Bank, PCL. Some excitement outside. I want to set the scene for a little bit. It seems like a dragon dance outside, a little late for New Year's. In any event, to satisfy the mission-driven stakeholders of today, forward-leaning firms need to embed sustainability in every facet of their operations. Over the past few decades, the role of financial institutions has evolved to become more of a strategic and forward-thinking one. Globally, investors have poured more than $1 trillion into ESG investment funds in just the last 2 years. Governments see that driving corporate action takes finance in the form of green bonds, loans, environmental risk assessments, and insurance to protect investment in new green projects. So estimates of the annual investment needed for the transition ranges into trillions of dollars, so no small amount there. And you clearly can't achieve net zero without having a conversation about the roles of banks in financing. So we wanted to thank you again for joining us, Khun Chasidi. So let me start with understanding that it's not an easy calculus, but wanting to understand also, can firms truly balance profit, people, and planet? And if so, what role do banks, and Bangkok Bank especially, play in this regard?
Yes, the three factors are quite an important balance, and this is not always easy to do, but for many of the larger companies, the likes of, as you have already heard about SCG and so forth, I think they have built those into their corporate objectives. So they take the balance of the sustainability of the planet and the profits into consideration. But of course, for some other smaller companies, I think it's a transition that we also have to make, the education that to be provided to them, and also a path for them to make that transition. And that is also a challenge. But I think that is also where the incentives can also be provided in order to help enhance and help them to smooth the transition to the sustainability.
Okay. And so maybe you can expand on how is Bangkok Bank specifically helping to finance the net zero transition to foster this sustainability for itself and also for other organizations, and what sort of new financial instruments are helping to support this transition that you're seeing out amongst your clients?
I think there are three important areas. One is education. How can we educate our customers to move forward in this direction, which is a long-term trend and the global requirements, and that varies from the different sizes of companies, from the larger one to the smaller ones, and how can they succeed in this process. And yes, it's a long journey, and also long-term planning is also required in order to make it economical and still move towards the target objective. The second one is also transformation financing to provide the support to these customers to make that transition, including, for example, in terms of the renewable energy, solar rooftop financing, and some of the waste treatment, as well as new areas of the innovation to keep them sustainable and also competitive. And of course, the third one is also to develop new product and services in order to support these customers to be able to move forward in this area. As far as Bangkok Bank, yes, we also have our own targets in order to achieve stage 1 and stage 2 for the bank itself, as well as also on the public side. We also work, for example, in terms of the liver cleaning, which we did work with other corporates sometime last year, and other activities that will be going on into the future.
Okay. Just to sort of follow up, within the context of products and services, have you found that you needed to develop new instruments, or are people, your clients, relying on traditional products to help sustain and finance this transition?
I think a combination of both. We provide some of the green financing to our customers for example, in the renewable energy, for efficiency improvement, use of the better information, and also conversion, for example, waste into biofuels, for instance. We also help many customers in terms of their bond issuance for the sustainable bond, green bond, sustainable index bond, for example. And we have been a leader in this area over the last 4 years. And I think we also need to develop more transition financing to provide support to the SME, which is also will be upcoming later this year.
Okay. Also, as sort of a leader in this space, how is Bangkok Bank supporting climate change adaptations and mitigation?
Bangkok Bank has been working with other Thai banks through the Thai Bankers Association and also with the Bank of Thailand. We have declared the ESG declaration in 2022 together with other Thai banks and also with the central bank in order to move our efforts on this. And the Thailand taxonomy also has been developed among the Thai banks and the Bank of Thailand to provide the guidance into the future, classify different initiatives and also different industry, green, yellow, and red, and also how to make the transition for many of these industries. So yes, it's a work in progress, but it's also something that the Thai bankers have been working with our central bank to move towards this. Specifically, a few industries have been in focus, like in the energy sector and in the transportation, and upcoming in the manufacturing sector, in the agriculture, construction, and also waste treatment.
Okay. Speaking of these different sectors, many of the worst carbon emission offenders are found in Asia, and according to different segments, as they still are reliant on fossil fuels. So as you talk about these different segments, do industry sectors, particularly the hard-to-abate ones, differ significantly, let's say, in their attitudes towards a sustainability transition and also their ability to access these forms of finance?
I think different industries have their own challenges, and some also may have some easy solutions to solve. Some will also quite difficult and not easy, and also require a lot of investment and technology requirements. I think we have heard from Khun Thamasak on how the cement, low carbon cement, the challenge, which I think they did provide the Salaburi sandbox and to try to convert Salaburi to be the first low carbon city in Thailand. And I think that's a great initiative to be taken. But I think many of these initiatives will eventually lead to more activities from different sectors. So yes, we have to go by sector specific and then take easy solutions for certain areas and then keep moving on with more difficult ones. And I think the medium to long-term planning is also required so that when new investment takes place, it becomes more economical and no need for the future replacement.
Yeah, the calculus between these different segments is always a big challenge in terms of finding that balance. So to that end, which sustainable strategies and initiatives are companies prioritizing that you're finding and looking to finance? Is there sort of an evolution? Is there a step-by-step process?
It's a combination of the two. I think for one, for the efficiency improvement, they also make new investment in order to be also in compliance with the climate sustainability requirements. But at the same time, many of these also, because of their part of the global supply chain, they also need to make sure that they meet certain standards. For example, the European and the US standards in order to be able to export their products. So certain investments would take place and we provide support to them in order to meet those requirements. Otherwise, for example, in the European requirements on the CBAM, which also would carbon cross-border assessment, which is also an important aspect to be part of that process. So many coming from the awareness of the requirements of the sustainability mainly also come from economic requirements as part of the global supply chain.
Okay. Um, this has all been very informative, but I wanted to switch gears a bit. Um, so everything seems, very political, very sort of sensitive topics, ESG especially, coming off COP28 and coming to certain, agreements there. How is more specifically the current geopolitical environment, especially U.S.-China relations, how they are at the moment, affected ASEAN's role in the sustainability transition?
I think not only the US-China conflict, but also, for example, the Russia-Ukraine dispute and other conflicts that we see around the world that also push the prices upward. But that also gives a good opportunity for certain areas, for example, new investment in new renewable to be economically feasible. The other side is also the alignment of the new global supply chain with a new investment, for example, China Plus One. So the new investment into different countries, especially, for example, into ASEAN, whether into Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia. So this also could lead to new investment, which also incorporate the new requirements of the ESG and the climate requirements. I think so that is also part of that is happening, and I think this will increase more effectiveness and more efficiency and resilience in the process.
Yeah, we're certainly finding within the context of our members that China diversification serves sort of ASEAN and South Asia in terms of being the beneficiary of this supply chain movement, as you say, sort of the China Plus One strategy. And just to sort of continue along that line, the ongoing investment is pretty significant, and we see that in the near, medium, and long term in terms of FDI now moving from China over to ASEAN, around the world, but especially towards ASEAN, towards specific countries. And so are you finding as well that government, in terms of policy, in terms of all this new investment that's sort of pouring into sort of more specific countries, are there requirements in terms of ESG initiatives and sustainability transition as they sort of as they bring all this investment online? Are they requiring these companies then to follow along certain sustainability transition requirements?
Yeah, I think if you look across different countries in ASEAN, new investment that come in, many times they also incorporate the ESG requirements and also evolve new technology for sustainability. So both from the corporates or the enterprise itself themselves, as well as from the country requirements. So you can see across whether in Vietnam, in Thailand, in the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, for instance. And I think that trend is moving, and I think it's a good opportunity to adopt all these change when new investments take place.
Okay, that's heartening to hear. As they receive all this investment, that they're creating a sort of more viable future ecosystem as well. Let me end on this last question. I guess with all this sort of optimism as well, what are some of the key challenges, though, that you're encountering both with clients and with sustainability transition overall in this particular space?
I think two areas. One is to provide our customers with greater awareness of the requirements, that this is a global trend and it's also a necessary requirement. So how to plan in an orderly fashion so that on one hand it's economically feasible, on the other hand it's also socially acceptable to the requirements. So the balance of the two, as you start the conversation with the profit, the planet, and also the action. I think that's an important requirement. The second one is I think we have to provide the transition to make this possible. So as we move on, we provide them with transformation loan, with transition finance in order to take different steps each step create greater awareness and also more daring to move forward in this direction.
Okay, terrific.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah, I think just a few key takeaways in terms of the sort of insightful conversation is that there's been a lot of greater levels of awareness and specificity and levels of coordination in recent years that we're seeing, especially from your side. Certainly significant capital expenditures devoted to facilitate this transition. So thank you. I wanted to thank you, Khun Sasi, and we appreciate your time and your insights. And up next, I wanted to just inform you that we have our coffee and networking break. So please do join us at 11:30 for our upcoming panel, which is on fostering a carbon market in Asia, led by my colleague Andrew Staples, who is the editorial director of Initiatives and Alliances and head of policy and insights for Economist Impact. So thank you.
Thank you very much. ขอบคุณครับ